Happy Thursday. What's up, everyone? So, what do we have going on today? We have portfolios going on today. How many people think you have the most amazing portfolio imaginable? Probably no one watching today and no one watching in the future. Not quickly, easily show yourself off and kind of say LinkedIn plus, right? So today we're going to focus on portfolios. We're going to vibe code a portfolio on GitHub. I'm going to show you something cool because I believe it was Cam that mentioned it, and I have been going in on it this week, vibe coding my way to an example portfolio that I shared in the community. Today we're actually going to do it from scratch so folks can see, can watch this back. Everything's free. All the tools are free here today. We'll vibe code a portfolio. We've typed stuff. We've seen some building out sims and getting in logs. We've seen a lot of examples of portfolios. So these are things that you can show off, make it look pretty, make it look personable, right? Make it all about you and something you can put on your resume. And I've actually seen it quite a bit in job applications where they ask for a personal website. So places you can put that there. So portfolios are a really great option. Some other fun stuff before we get going on. If you haven't been a part of the community, make sure you join the community. We are growing it. It just had an overhaul this week. Lots of fun organizations. I've put roles out there so people can organize and show off what they're doing, what role they're in, what role they're looking for, and start talking and collaborating with other people in that same mindset. Besides that, this week was our first challenge that we kicked off, and we'll adjust how we're doing them moving forward. We'll probably do them from Thursday to Thursday versus I was kicking it off on, I think this week we did Monday. So this one will be a little bit shorter. So I'll see if I can't kick a challenge off tonight as well. So we'll have two kind of in line with each other. But the challenges are meant for you to think about the stuff that has been going on the InfoSec channel. So it's a way for you to practice some of the things we're talking about and to continue to progress the community, right, into the space, well, not the community, into a job role that you're looking for. So that's the whole point of these challenges. So you're going to get out of it what you're going to get out of it. It's a chance for us to talk about what folks have been doing on here, give you a call out. I'll even repost some of the stuff on my LinkedIn channel and at you on there, so you have a little bit of some public, what's the word I'm looking for? Public applause. That's not the word I'm looking for. It's the end of the day, people. Leave me alone. Anyways, get a little bit of some eyes on your LinkedIn portfolio, which hopefully will lead to more networking and whatnot. The other thing we're going to start doing starting next month is do a monthly project. So last week we talked about the difference between a lab and a project, at least in my mind, right? And I'm sure some other people think about it the same way. A lab is what you do in school. A lab is what you do in a certification. A project is longer term. So labs are short term, like a week maybe. Where a project, we're talking about months, right? So time frame and then complexity are big differentiators between the two. So our projects, our monthly projects are going to be just that, something that you're going to be geared towards, but you're going to add a lot of context, a lot of you into the project to make it different. So I'm not here to give you like color in the dotted lines, right? Or follow the dots, whatever that's called when you're a kid. It's, hey, here's a general idea. I want you to build it. And this is you. This helps you become better at this stuff because you're thinking about it. You're playing with the ideas. And it is ultimately going to help you think more critically and better understand the content so that when you get into an interview, you have experience to pull from. And it's going to help you land that job and continue to grow in your career. So that's the idea. So keep an eye out for those challenges, drop it in the community. projects dropping in the community, and just the fun conversations in the community. We had a pretty lengthy one today. So with that, let's dive into building a portfolio. So I'm going to share my screen. As always, feel free to ask some questions in chat. Hello, chat. Say hello if you're just joining us. And yeah, let's have some fun. Let's build some stuff. So first thing, I want to show some examples of portfolios. We'll look at them and then we'll start vibe coding a portfolio in GitHub Pages if you haven't heard of that. So let's go ahead and do screen share. Window, here we go. All right, we should be good. We're seeing my Windows system. And let me change this layout so it looks better. There we go. I need to adjust my camera so I'm more center frame. So unprofessional, so unprofessional. All right, so Callie. So we have one of our members of the community. I'm gonna pick on him a little bit, but this is one of his portfolios. This is where he keeps them. He keeps them on his GitHub, which is cool. And he kind of links to them like this, right? So he does have some readmes in the way he designed it. He's got his LinkedIn. So there's some really good traits here for sure. He talks about stuff here. He has his certifications, but we can make it look better. Maybe we'll use his as a design and make his look better. Maybe, what do you think? So not too bad. So we'll say good. He has his name up here. He has a repository full of labs that he's done, and he calls them labs, which is cool. And then he talks about who he is, which is cool, right? Talks about what his focuses are, things he's been working on. So focused as in types of labs and work he's been doing. And then his certifications that he has, and he has quite a bit here. So those are some good stuff here. Then he has kind of like a table of contents, not too shabby. So not too bad. Let's see what else we have here. Then we have this person. So this is Cam. This is who inspired me. He's did it on GitHub Pages as well. So stole the idea. And his is kind of cool. It's not done yet. That's why he has it under construction. He doesn't want to set the tone, I imagine. I'm probably putting just words in Cam's mouth right now. But he doesn't want them to assume it's done and ready to go. So he put this here. And then he shows stuff he's been working on, the types of toolings and scripts he's built, his detection engineering stuff he's done. So he's quite a bit here. Then he has tabs on the top. So it almost feels like a website, right? It feels like it's built on WordPress, except maybe it's quite a bit more custom than WordPress. I mean, you could be this custom in WordPress too, don't get me wrong. But there's lots of good stuff here. And I'm trying to get situated here. Let me fix this. There we go. Shouldn't slide now. Just trying to get situated so I can be center of the frame here for you folks. So afterwards, people can see it. But anyways, it's pretty responsive, right? It's a dynamic site to some degree. And he has a lot of cool stuff here, right? His profile, his LinkedIn, his GitHub, his badges that he's done. So lots of interesting stuff he's pulling out. So quite the difference between this one, which is pretty flat, right? That's the general term for this, like a flat site, to a more responsive, interesting looking one. And so we're going to design something more in line with this. He has a news feed, and you can kind of go as far as you want with this, just kind of based on time and what you want to do. So pretty cool. Let's look at another one. So here's another one that is very similar, very flat in general. They're using markup to get this formatting. That's what that's called. But it's flat, right? It doesn't have any personality. You don't really have the ability to shine through here. There's nothing eye-catching. Even if you have this filled with tons of repos, it's not necessarily eye-catching, right? A few emojis. We can do better. And we can do better without a ton of work. That's the key here. Oh, I forgot to put in chat. Hello, welcome if you're new. So you can throw your GitHub in here if you want in chat, and I'll bring it up on the screen. We can do that. Also in the community, if you're not a member of the community, you can throw it in there as well. Just tell me where it's at, and I'll go grab it. Thank you for joining. So we have that. Here's another one. This one's quite a bit more responsive, right? Shows a little bit more personality, has some colors, has some stuff that's drawing here, has links. Look at this, typing out licensed pen tester. A lot more dynamic, right? A lot more interesting than the flat ones. So these two like old school looking ones. So just something to think about. I mean, with anything, when we're talking about resumes, when we're talking about portfolios, unfortunately there's no set standard of this is the most perfect thing you can do. Really, it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder in both this and resumes. And so it's more of a general consensus of you look at it and you can say, this looks better than this. And that's kind of what you're playing off of. Hey, kick it to some friends. What do you think about my website? What do you think about my portfolio? What do you think about my resume? And get feedback and coax it. Because your goal is for it to look good to a majority of the audience, majority of the people that look at it. That's the goal here, right? Because I could design something and maybe 50% of the people would say it's great, 50% would say it's ugly. Well, if I change a few things, maybe I can coax that up to 60%. We're like, yeah, that's pretty decent. So again, it's just play with it, design it. There is no perfect formula here, but if you can get a bunch of people to say, hey, that's really cool, that's really good looking, it conveys a lot about you, it has more information, so it's basically LinkedIn plus plus, right? You have a lot more information there. It shows more clearly what you are about as a human. That's where you want to be. So just keep that in mind. And that's, again, for both resumes and portfolios. There are definitely things you can do that are hard no's. Don't do that, right? Don't have a bunch of profanity in here. Make sure at least stuff is like, don't use leet speak, right? On this thing, it's going to be cheesy. People can't read it. You are catering to a more professional audience, so you do need to keep that in mind. But in terms of perfect, you're not going to get there, but there are some hard no's. If you're like questionable about it, I don't know if this is okay, it's probably not okay, right? If you're a kid and you thought to yourself, I should probably ask if I can do this, the answer is probably going to be no. If you had to think about it, the answer is probably no. So there you go. Let's look at another one. Leslie Carhart, pretty famous. Hers isn't as dynamic. Hers is kind of old school too, but I wanted to do this because this is someone that is relatively, I guess, famous in the InfoSec circles, pretty well known. If you don't know her, you probably haven't listened to enough podcasts or read enough stuff, but she's pretty well known. And she didn't spend a ton. I imagine she didn't spend a ton of time here, but like it's not perfect. It's not out of control great. I'm just showing you that you don't have to have the perfect one for it to be okay for you. For her, this is perfect for her, right? It's obviously served her well. She's done really good in the world. It's okay, right? But it's still different than this. It is different than this one. But I just wanted to show you a variety of portfolios for different types of people. And obviously, she is a really good example because she has done really well in InfoSec. So, hey, what's up, Born? Let's see. Let's look at another one. Shell Sharks. So let's go to the homepage here. This is another one I was just Googling for cybersecurity portfolios, and I came across this one. This has quite a bit more. This almost looks like GeoCity things down here at the bottom. That's hilarious. But this has a little bit more personality, I would say, than some of the other ones, which isn't necessarily bad. And its personality but not over the top personality, I would say. So this I would still consider professional. And it has a lot of interesting stuff. So they're using it as blogs, as devlogs, all kind of stuff here. So just, I would definitely encourage you to get out there and look around. What types of people, what types of things are people doing in their portfolios? Because that's one of the things too, right? You may go into it and you think, well, I'm just putting some labs in there, maybe a blog or two. And then you look at someone else's and they're doing a bunch of other stuff. I'm like, oh, those are really good ideas. That actually resonates with me. Resonates with me. And I like that. I want to integrate it into my stuff. And that's cool. Do that. So look around, get some ideas, figure out what's your vibe, go and build it. And I think that might be it. Cool. NX, did you throw yours in the community? Do I need to go over there and grab it? Let me go see if I got Discord up over here. And before we get started, I'll show you the one I've been working on. It is not done yet, but I will show you what I've done thus far. How about that? If I can find it. Where's it at? Where's it at? I posted it in our Discord somewhere. Maybe it's under portfolios. Here we go. All right, so I'm gonna throw this in here and we'll see it. And I'm getting it to kind of show my personality. So this is what I have so far, and just trying to talk about who I am, give it a little cybersecurity flair. I added this yesterday with all my certifications and trainings I've done. Just trying to do stuff that stands out that people can see, like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy, here's his accolades, here's the stuff he's done, this is what he's about, here's my focus areas. So I'm kind of vibing, trying to figure out what I want to do, but I'm also using it to, these blogs aren't real. This was just placeholders, by the way. But yeah, kind of places where I can put common resources for the community, you guys, plus stuff that can serve me as something useful for, a future job. You're welcome, Born. Definitely happy to help. So, and mine's way different than everyone else's, right? And this was all vibe coded, I promise you. And then it's just me vibing and talking with what was a Codex? That's what I was using, Codex. What's funny is I'll show you one that I was working on yesterday, this chart, and it struggled so badly to create something cool here, and I finally got it to work. So this was kind of a pain, the vibe code, but I think it came out all right. And I'll be filling in details in here. So this is just placeholder data, but I'll be filling this in. But the point is, like, it can be anything. It's kind of whatever value you want to add. And I encourage you, as you're growing, you're identifying cool resources, you've read a cool book, you found a cool podcast, whatever, add that to your portfolio. Share it with other people. Share your portfolio with whoever, right? Hey, do you mind looking over it? Tell me what I can improve. Tell me what I can do better. Stuff like that. So your portfolio is definitely something cool you can show off and continue to build over time. And you can even come back to it and refer to it, right? So there's a lot of things that your portfolio can be other than just showing off your work. You can also use it just to hold information for you for later. So super cool. Harem, welcome. Welcome. You popped in earlier today. Hello, everyone. I'll take a pause real quick. If you're just joining us today, we are doing portfolios. So we are talking about looking at different styles of portfolios, what can go in them, and what we'll be moving into in a few moments is we are going to vibe code our own portfolio starting from scratch using GitHub pages. So definitely something to take you from a flat GitHub portfolio to something a little bit more fun like this one. So that's something here. So if you're here, you want to improve your branding, right? So that's a big term, and it's not just for influencers or whatever. Hey, my brand, my brand, my brand. Branding is huge for everyone because what your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. I stole that from somewhere. It came from a book, I swear. It didn't come from me. I'm not that wise. But it is literally, what do people say about you when you're not in the room? That is your brand. So do they say you're a jerk? Do they say, yeah, this person's crazy good with forensics or whatever? That's your brand. What your image to other people, that's you. That is what exists in the room when you're not there. And so portfolios kind of help with that, kind of set the tone, kind of help you build that brand. And it's something you can link to if you give a talk somewhere. If someone's looking at maybe getting in cybersecurity, whatever. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do. And if you're not concerned about your branding, I highly encourage you to start being concerned about your branding. You don't have to go overboard, but what people see about you on the internet is what people are going to think about you. People will look you up going into interviews. This is something people do. So they're going to read about the things you did. So this is a chance for either you're going to let people down and be like, ooh, like disappoint them, or you can surprise them and get them excited about talking with you. So it could be good, it could be bad. It's your choice. It's all about branding. It's all about what you're putting out there into the universe, to use a fun yogi term. I guess that's a yogi term. I don't know. I was going to say hippie term, but whatever. So there you go. All right. Is everyone ready to start vibe coding some stuff? We're just going to use ChatGPT. My goal tonight is to use all free tools because I want to do stuff as low cost as possible for folks. That is my goal. And not only that, but I want to show you that you don't have to pay thousands of dollars to get a lot of knowledge, to look good, to build your brand, all these things. You can do it for really, really cheap if you try hard enough and if you get creative, not just try hard enough. All right, so let's do that. I'm going to switch to Windows. A couple of things that you need to have to get started. Hello, everyone. If you're just joining us, by the way, hello, welcome. Thanks for joining. Feel free to drop questions in chat as we build out this portfolio. So a couple of things. We need ChatGPT, free. We need a GitHub, free. And I would also suggest you could do the CLI version if you want, but if you have Windows, using GitHub Desktop makes life easy as well. Pretty chill, easy to use. For those who aren't devs and for those just touching GitHub for the first time, using GitHub CLI can be intimidating. It gives me a headache almost every time I have to use it because I don't use it every day, sadly. But this does make it very approachable. Obviously you can ask ChatGPT for help of how to do the right commands as well. So anyway, so if you want to use my setup, GitHub Desktop, GitHub, ChatGPT, ready to rock and roll. Obviously an email account too. All right, so first things first, in chat, folks in chat, what type of vibe do we want to go for with our GitHub pages? That's what we're going with here. What do we want to do? What do we want to build? And while you're throwing that in there, just give me some ideas. We'll turn that into something cool as we start conversing with ChatGPT to start giving us code. While you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and create our first project. And it's going to be awesome. So we're going to say, and I think we actually have to name it a certain thing as well. So let's start here. Let's say, how do I create a GitHub pages? Let's see, walk me through. So pretty simple. I did this because I don't read documentation anymore. I'm pretty lazy with ChatGPT. It's amazing. So we've already done that. And here, oh, this is what I was looking for. So we have to name it, whatever our username is, .github.io. That's the important thing here. So we'll do that. So our name is, and this is an account I made just for screwing around with, infowizardtest.github.io, and we'll leave that blank. We'll make it public and go ahead and create it. Beautiful. So we now have this. And the reason it has to be named this, because if you don't, the URL is going to be really goofy. If you name it utilizing your name in Git, then you'll get a cool little, you'll get to use that as a URL. So our URL will be able to be infosecwizardtest.github.io. So it's pretty clean, right? It's like having your own website without having to pay for a domain name and all that. So that is kind of the cool benefit of doing it this way as well. All right, so let's go back to GitHub. So I'm gonna copy and paste this. Let's see if it'll let me in here. And we'll post it in here. So I definitely encourage you, if you're on here, did it do it the way I wanted to? Yes, it did. Okay. Yeah, so if you're in here, you're in a computer, I definitely encourage you to follow along. That way I can help you get through whatever issues you may be having as you're working through this. That way, by the end of this, you at least have a starter portfolio that you can continue to iterate on and improve and make cool. So yeah, do that. Looks like we have maybe some chats in here. Too much going on. Welcome. If you're just joining the community, I'll look at all that after this because I want to give you guys all my time right now. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we actually need to create our first file. So for those of you who have done some web stuff, this is usually the index.html, and you don't really need a cool web server to do all this. You can do it. You can even run it on your computer, click it, and it's going to work as well. So this is actually, and I'll show you later with it, which is why I have GitHub Desktop on here. You can test it before you push it out to your webpage, which makes life easier. So we'll go ahead and copy this code, and we'll throw it up here in a new file. So let's do that. I'm trying to remember. This is not how we do it. Set up in GitHub Desktop. I'm trying to remember where the dang button is to create the new file in here. I think it's, we probably should have created the test file. Here we go. Nope, create a new file. There we go. It just looks goofy when you do it that way. So we'll name this index.html. And we'll commit changes. So committing just says, hey, add it to the Git repo. So the Git repo, so wherever you're keeping your code, and if you've done any hacking, you've probably come across GitHub, and you have an account, then you have a bunch of repos. And think of repos as individual projects, essentially. And there's a lot more complexity to it. Like we have branches here, and I don't want to get too much into the weeds because it's not super important for this. But just to point out, it's there. You'll see that we're in the main branch, which is this is the thing that's like production ready, right, to use on the job terms. So just keep that in mind. Feel free to ask questions. All right, now we need to enable GitHub pages. So we'll follow this along. And I'll drop this in chat just in case folks want to throw this in here. Although you can put together whatever you want and utilize it, all gravy. Okay, so let's go to settings, and I am going to do this. I'm gonna put them side by side. Can everyone see my screen okay? I just wanna make sure we're doing it side by side so it's easier, so I don't have to go back and forth because that will get irritating. Okay, so we need to go settings, scroll 2 pages on the sidebar. That's right here. So it's going to be at the bottom of this first pane. We're going to click it, and it says our site is live. Under source, select deploy from branch, and it is being deployed from our main branch, which is fantastic. And just to point out, you do have the option of using custom domains if you do choose to have one. So I think Cam had a custom domain with his. Totally doable if you want to add that little bit of flair, but you don't have to. Again, low cost, free, you can do this, and that's my goal here. All right, So next piece here is I think we have to do actions, maybe not. Let's see if it opens up. Oh, no, okay, it did. I was doing some other thing where it was deploying and using actions to deploy. Um, Whatever, right? Okay, so we now have a Git repo up. Beautiful, and it's right here. So now in here, if we click this, this is our lovely baby page that we still need to love, nurture, and grow. Hello world, very, very classic. So now that that's in there, we can do pretty much anything we want, right? Our web server is working, it's deployed. Now we just need to turn it into something. I didn't get any cool comments, folks. Man, you messed up. You didn't give me any comments. So let's vibe code some stuff. Let's see. I need to create a cybersecurity portfolio using GitHub pages. Give me the code and files for this. And then maybe tell it what you want it to do. It should maybe show off projects, certifications, what else? Blogs. Let's see, is there anything else in here we want to add to it? So we'll use scams, we'll look at his, and we want it to just really focus on us. So we could also say try hack me labs that we've done maybe. Let's do that one because I think a lot of you are doing try hack me labs. Try hack me labs. It should look professional, but cyber related. Sure. And it's going to do some work. And wow, a lot of files here. So it's going to do some work, build this out. And it's important to be able to look at this stuff and say, is this me or is this not me? And right now it doesn't have a lot of color. That's where the CSS stuff comes in handy. So what we're going to do, I'm going to say, let's build one page at a time. Page at a time, starting with the home page. And something to keep in mind, and this is something I've learned over time, when you're doing project work, right, you don't want to start off trying to conquer the world with one go, okay? That is going to be the fastest road to heartache. You are going to burn yourself out. You're going to get frustrated. Nothing's working. What you need to do is when you work projects, do them one bite at a time, right? We're going to focus on the home page. Maybe we add placeholders for this other stuff, but let's get the home page done first, and then we'll start adding stuff as we get there, okay? And this is the same with everything. When we're in corporate America, right? That's where I come from. MVP, minimal viable product. So what is the like the smallest thing that we need for it to just be useful? And then what's our plan to build onto it so that it becomes even more useful? And typically you want to prioritize functionality or features based off of which is going to give me the biggest bang for the buck or the highest return the fastest, and that's how you prioritize stuff. Hey, what's up, Phi? Welcome to the stream. Hello. So yeah, let's do that. So we'll start, and this preview button kind of allows you to see what it looks like in here, but it's not going to display because we don't have the CSS in there yet, so we need to add that. So let's go ahead back to here. We're going to create some files. So we grab that. We're going to click this one, and we're going to click the edit button. Typically, we can use our GitHub desktop for this. The only reason I added the GitHub desktop is in case we need to add pictures. because I haven't found a way to add pictures via the UI, which seems a little bizarre to me, but it's probably because I didn't look hard enough, which is whatever. But GitHub Desktop allows you to add a bunch of stuff really, really fast. So it is a good benefit besides just that. And as we do this, when you refresh, it should show off your stuff if it pushes it. And it may not have. We may have to build an action to do this. That's what I was talking about earlier in the action, that I had to build one in order for it to do it. So see here the deployments. We may just have it with manual deployments. There we go. Nope, it deployed it. It just took a little bit. So this is what it looks like. There's nothing cool here yet. It is still super, super flat, not sexy whatsoever. So let's add some style to it. Let's add some CSS. And then we're just going to add another file. We're going to title it style.css. I'm going to drop all this in here. And then again, this is like all that stylization information, like spacing, padding, colors, all that cool stuff. We'll add it in there, and we should have a little bit more life. Looks like it has a fun typing animation script. So we'll look at the style.css first, then we'll look at that. So we should see a third deployment here in a second. As soon as it does, because what happens is we have to wait for the deployment to go, or it's not going to show our work, essentially. So see how it looks exactly the same? It's because we're waiting for deployment. I thought it was... it is automatic. We already saw it deploy without me doing anything. There we go. It just takes a second. So give it a second. If you're running into issues, it just needs a minute to actually deploy. So hello, how's everyone's week been while we're waiting on it to deploy? Does anyone have any cool wins they want to share with the group? We're always down for some cool wins. All right, there we go. See that? Padding, style, it makes a difference, right? Look at that. It already looks, I would say, better. It's not where we need it to be yet, but it's definitely better. But yeah, what wins do we have out there today, folks? I know we got some. Give me some wins. Makes me feel good. Makes other people feel good. Why not? All right, so script.js, we'll add this. Oops, I'm just using Control-Shift-V. I don't typically like adding a lot of JavaScript to my stuff because it's more code maintenance. Whatever. If you want some of the cool features, then you gotta do it. We'll see what this looks like, and then we'll guide it. While we're doing that too, anyone else want to add what should we do to make this look better? It looks pretty bland to me, even though it's got some fun green stuff. It's not very pretty, doesn't look great. It needs a lot of love here. And I'll probably be a jerk and tell it, hey, this thing's ugly. Do something. And we'll get it to do something better for us. Let's see. All right, we got a deployment. Let's see what it added. Should be some... Oh, look at that. It's got a fun little top thing. So this looks actually pretty similar to one of those other ones we saw earlier. Which one was it? Is it this one? Oh, yeah, right there. It looks like that. Same stuff. All right. So, all right. It is pretty ugly. What do we want to do to make it better? We can say, hey, this is very ugly. Can we make it more modern and professional? Follow great UI, UX guidelines. Let's see if that helps. So telling it to use like specific guidelines sometimes we'll change it. So that's how I got it to get the arrows correct when I was doing mine. So it's going to be building some of this stuff here. And what we'll do is just replace a handful of these things and see what we get. We'll copy this. Let's go back over here. And then we'll modify this. And just so you know too, if you're utilizing Codex or any of these tools in the IDE, we could totally be vibe coding within an IDE doing this. I'm trying to avoid adding too much complexity for folks, so I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. You can't get much simpler than copying and pasting from one place to another. That's pretty achievable for most people, right? And so that's why I do it. It's not because this is the best way to do it. This is because Mike is trying to make stuff approachable for everyone, because why not? All right. So now we'll just wait for it to deploy again, and we'll see what's going on. Welcome if you're just joining us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Looks like we had a failed deployment. Let's see if it's kicking off another one. I haven't learned how, there we go. So it's updating this one. We'll just have to figure out why that one failed. Let's see, canceling since the higher priority, waiting. Oh, because we did another one. We'll see if it works. So I don't think all of our code has been deployed yet. Let's see. Which one was busted? This one. Can I rerun it? These are deprecated. I'm just looking through here trying to figure out why it errored. I think it canceled itself. It did. And I wonder if it will let me rerun. There we go. Well, rerun job. Then hopefully this will deploy our HTML. And that should solve our problem, hopefully. Happy Thursday, everyone. One more day. We're almost to the weekend, folks. Almost to the weekend. And one of the fun things with the link, you can always take mine and do whatever you want with it as well. I don't care. I don't care. And anyone else using GitHub pages, you can just take their code as well. So if you see some of their stuff, you can say, hey, here's my code, ChatGPT. This is what I'm thinking of for visual. I like to change the colors maybe, or I want to change the way this block is versus the other. There's lots of cool stuff you can do. Seems like something hasn't deployed yet. There's definitely lots of stuff you can do. It's just totally up to you what you would like to do. That is the name of the game here. So I'm just trying to get back to our home page here, see what's going on. Looks like we have a deployment issue for sure, because this should look different. We can modify this really quick. So here's a fun trick. Instead of redeploying, we can just add like a space somewhere, like right here, and it'll force it to redeploy. Just showing you some random tricks. All right, so now we're just waiting for it to deploy, and it is, and we should see a difference, hopefully. Once it's done, like the whole trick is like you're waiting for it to deploy. And this is kind of very similar to when you're deploying infrastructure in like the cloud or anywhere else. I mean, this kind of goes through a process, and the build and the actions, there's so much more you can do here. So if you're interested in the dev life, I definitely encourage you to look into actions. There's some cool stuff in there. You can add like vulnerability scanning. You can do a lot of code checks. You can run your tests, your code tests in there. There's a bunch of really cool stuff you can do. It really is down to what you want to do. You could even look for tokens, secrets, or whatever. Lots of really cool stuff you can do. All right, so this thing is pretty ugly. Let's see, what can we say? Let's start over. I want my portfolio to impress folks when they see it. It should be it should be dynamic or reactive, easy to view. All right, let's see. And it could be like the reasoning model being used in the free one may just suck. I don't want to use React. Keep it to HTML, CSS, JavaScript. All right, let's see. Come on. In the assets here, this is where you would put your pictures at. And then all this other stuff is still the same. All right, so let's try playing with it again. And this is kind of how it goes. Like if there was something worth saving on that, I would save it, but it was pretty ugly. And I don't even know how to describe what I want, why it sucks. But if you have if you're good at articulating issues, you will win with AI these days. And kind of the skill that you're moving to is, how do I get AI, like how do I convey what I'm looking for to AI so that I can build it? That is kind of the big thing here. All right. Just waiting for this to deploy so we don't interrupt it again. And then we'll add our CSS. Let's see if it does anything different. All right, there we go. All right, we got something a little bit better now. Beautiful. All right, so let's update the stylization here a little bit, and we should be fine. Commit changes. We'll add this. So yeah, I mean, really, this is like everything in cybersecurity, right? It really boils down to your imagination. How creative do you want to be? What do you consider high quality? What do you consider right looks like? And really, what do you want to show off? That's what it all boils, down to. And we'll just let that finish building. I believe in you, Paige. You can do it. Looks like we had, nope, that's that failed test we saw earlier. I was gonna say, it looks like we have another one. All right, so here we go. All right, so this is a little bit bigger, right? Or a little bit better. What we can do now is we can focus on tuning different sections of it, where we say things like, hey, make sure it renders well on all types of pages, because some people may be looking it up on their phone, right? And so phones, when you're building web pages, if you haven't, there's different views that you design for. So it's, do they have a full computer screen? Do they have a phone? Do they have like an iPad? And so you want to check all three when you're designing a website, because you don't know what type of device viewers are viewing it on. And so it will change just based on the device. it will change to that thing, which is awesome. So we could say something like that. Hey, I didn't realize ChatGPT limited searches as much anymore either. I thought there used to be a lot of runway in here. That's pretty lame. I want this to display well on any type of device. And something else to keep in mind that a lot of people kind of screw up early in their careers of dev is that they try to do too many things at once. They try to fix everything at the same time. But that's like a quick way to really bust something and not know how you busted it. And even with AI, you kind of want to take that approach, especially after you have a good solid project. You want to focus on one small thing at a time so that you know where it broke if you broke it, but you can also perfect it before you move on, right? Again, this is that bite-sized chunk mentality that helps you become a better project manager more than anything. So now we have two more. So two more updates here. Let's do this. And what we can do now too is we can move to doing this on the desktop. So we can say, hey, let's go ahead and clone a repo from the internet. It's going to be github.com, and we're going to put it here. There we go. There's our repo. And when you clone something, it's just pulling it down. So if you've ever used Kali and you did the git clone, that's pretty much what you're doing here. So we're going to open the files up in here, and we are going to open these up in Notepad. Open, and we could use a UI or whatever we want, right? There's a lot. I mean, we could use Visual Studios. We can do that. That's fine. Let's get rid of this one. So we did that, and we'll just replace it with our new stuff. And then we'll also go ahead and open up our style.cs. Open with over here. There you go. And now we can just push these both at the same time instead of waiting on the individual changes. And so we'll just save all, and then we'll come over here, and this is the fun part, right? We'll see that, which one is this? Oh, this is the wrong repo. Let me modify the repo here. Not new repo. I need to open up a new one. Repository settings, infosec wizardry. So that is the wrong repo. Let's see. I don't want to save it. Sorry, I was in the wrong one. Here we go. I'm in the right one. Sorry. Okay, so this is the Inception stuff. I looked at the wrong one. I have GitHub Desktop opened up under this as well. All right, so this is what we have here. So you can see this is what's called diffing. And it's the thing where you can say, okay, how do I tell what changed? And this is going to be very important when you're using AI in general, is you want to know what changed. And so we can see that some spacing differences here when compared to the old one. All this stuff was moved. So we can see a lot of stuff here. We're going to assume we didn't break anything, which is fine. And we'll go ahead and commit. So we'll say stuff. This is where you actually put something useful in there. And then we want to push. So you're committing. You're saying, yes, this is the change I want to make. And then you push it back up to the cloud, up to GitHub. And then it's going to do its thing. And we should see changes up here. We should see our workflow running, and we see it here building, both of them at the same time, and then our web page should be updated once it's done. So hopefully that made sense of how Git works, how the deployment stuff works. And typically what you want to do too is before you start working on stuff locally, you want to fetch origin. That means pull the most updated version of like the repo you're working on down so that you're working on obviously the most recent thing, right? If you're working on something that's 5 versions behind, you're going to run into some issues when you're pushing it back up because it won't line up quite right. So something to keep in mind. All right, so we should have some changes here. There we go. So we have a little bit better looking website now. Slightly better. There's some kinks here, but again, this is where the vibe coding comes in handy. Let's see. I want the boxes of information to look, what's a good word for it? To look, let's see if I can give it a web page. Let's see if we can do it. We'll say to look like this, guys. Let's see if we can get it to figure out what Cam's doing. To look like this guy's style. And we'll give him Cam's. Let's see if this works. I've never done this, but it should make it, should be able to figure it out for us. Let's see. All right, so let's update. Give me the full code to integrate this into my project. All right, so hopefully it doesn't just give me his stuff because that would be annoying. Because we're not trying to straight up copy his stuff, right? So, all right. So we'll add that, and there should be a CSS one. There we go. Add that here. We'll save these, and then now we'll go ahead and commit these changes. Stuff. In here, when you do commit, typically you add notes for the commit, right? What did you change? Why did you change it? And so when it's being reviewed, people know, and it helps them more, helps them better understand what you did with your changes. So that's why you would do that in the real world. In case you didn't know, that's what devs do. And guess what? They focus on one small function at a time, one small piece, because they understand the concepts of I can't fix everything at the same time. I need to focus on one thing at a time. So hopefully with this, we should see a much better looking page now that we stole Cam's, which is all gravy. Let's see, did we get it? It broke it. Oh man. So the question is, why did it break? Let's see. I wonder why it broke. And this is the danger of blindly copy and pasting stuff. Blindly copying and pasting stuff. I could have copied wrong. Could have not. I think I did copy wrong. Let's see. What's the top of it look like? Nope, that's right. That is correct. And did it end on Ave? So I'm just checking and make sure it looks correct. That looks correct. Maybe it did not add style sheets. The page does not display with any formatting. Inside your index, you should have, yeah, we saw that in here. Style sheet, styles, CSS, is that correct? Ah, there's a naming difference. Look at that. It said style, so this is it drifting. What a pain. So let's go ahead and push this new one. That is a bad drift right off the rip. That's insane. That's a pretty bad one. Shame, 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 shame. What's up? What's up, everyone? If you're just joining us, we are working on building out a cool looking portfolio, just working our way through it, learning a little bit about how GitHub works, and HTML as well while we're at it. Hello. Hello, say hi in chat if you're just joining us for the first time. Still deploying. That's why it's not showing any different yet, so we'll wait on that. But let me show you something cool, right? So one of the interesting things we could be doing is that we could just open it like this. So see that? Because we don't need any fancy tools to be installed to render HTML. Our browser is designed for that. So we could fine tune here and then push when it gets to wherever we want it to go. That also works. So something to think about, but I do encourage you, once you make a significant chunk of progress, I do encourage you to commit that just so you have some versioning control up in GitHub. That's one of the whole points of it, is version control. So that if you do break something moving forward, you can roll it back to a version that was actually working or closer to where you were before. So something to think about there. Hey, what's up, Harem? Looks like he is just working and he's going to replay it later. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, follow along. And yeah, so how close do we think it got? And this just could be the model. I would say like the model the ChatGPT is using for this, because we wanted it to be a little bit glossier. And we didn't really get that yet. So we do have some kind of responsiveness to it, but it still seems pretty flat, right? It's like, meh, it's not the best. We do have where it said it could update it with JavaScript or script.js. So we can modify this here, and we can open this up. We'll open it up with this just so it pops it. No, don't open a new one. Let's see, we want this one. Let's see if it lets us explore a solution. Let's open. I want it to open another page here. I think it's still in our old one. So we actually don't have a full project here. Let's try it one more time right here. There we go, that works. So we'll copy, we'll paste this, we'll save it. Now let's see if it changes our page at all. So look at that, it is glowing. We did get a slightly different effect here. Let's see, the name of the file was style.cs, not styles.cs. The boxes still seem flat. I would like for them to look more, I don't know, what's the word, prominent? I don't know that that's a word. Prominent, look more 3D-ish? I don't know. What's the word for that? 3D-ish? Let's see if that does anything. It's probably going to break. Replace the card CS with cards. So this is, it's talking about not this one, this here. So card CS, that's going to be in the styles. So I think this is the one it's talking about, card, or is it this one? This one here. So we could copy this and replace it like that. We should save it, and then we look at it. It should modify it. That looks better, right? It's a little bit out. Maybe we don't want to use dark. Maybe. I don't know. We'll look at it. Looks like we got a comment here. Looks like Harem prefers Python to Java. I will tell you, Harem, I hated Java. Java was the first language I learned, and it was horrible. It made me stop being a computer science major. I came back later. I made my way back. It's really not much different than like C++ or Go or any of the other more modern languages, but it's whatever. All right, so we have a portfolio now, and I think this looks a little bit better. We may want to go with a different color. We could say black is really hard to look at and is depressing. I want better vibes. Let's try that. I like how it's always so nice. Has anyone ever seen that? So this is all CSS. All right, so I'm just going to say, because I don't want to copy and paste this, give me the new CSS complete file. So we'll do that. God, I hate doing the copying and pasting stuff. It just takes so long. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody got time for that. And this is kind of a cool thing too. If you have a local AI, so whether it's going to be Codex or you're working with Claude, you can do things such as give it templates, create skills that are going to help you format your code consistently, or format anything you want, whether it's output. So I've been using it to help me schedule my content and stuff like that, right? And I'll share it later once it's done. I'm trying to perfect it. But like I give it templates and say, this is how I want my content schedule given to me every week. And that way you don't have any drift that you normally get, right, in a chat window, where the chat window is based off of the context, right? The collective conversation, but over time, the ideas, the content starts falling off of it, almost like human memory, right? And it's like a sliding kind of memory bank. And so with the skills, with the templates, you can basically force it to say, hey, whenever I ask you to do this task, take this, put it back in your memory and do this thing exactly like this every time. And you'll start getting a more consistent response from whatever LLM, whatever AI product you're using. And that's kind of the direction everyone's going. So if you haven't heard of skills, definitely look it up. Both Codex, so that's OpenAI's version, and then Claude both have a version of skills as well. So pretty cool, pretty cool. All right, so let's update our style.cs, and we'll go ahead and save it. And again, we should be able to render it. Let's see if we are no longer depressing cybersecurity people. Oh, there we go. That looks a lot better. I like that one. All right, there we go. But it's still, whenever you go over them, hover over them, it turns black. This is what I say. You take one problem at a time. All right. When I hover over them, they still turn black. Could we do something else instead? Let's see, JavaScript earlier, this changes, blah, blah, blah. So now we need to change our JavaScript. So this is really kind of like a game of whack-a-mole in some instances, right? So we'll save this. Let's refresh our page. Look at that. All right, so we're getting there. All right, so now we have a quasi-professional and a quasi-professional portfolio. It looks quite a bit cleaner. I like these lines. We didn't straight rip off Cam's thing, but we were inspired by Cam's. And it looks very much like an old classic WordPress page. Now the idea is, what do we want to add differently here that's going to help us stand out, right? We maybe want to say something nice about ourselves, right? We want to put our professional summary at the top. Maybe we want to display all the skills that we have. Maybe we want to display our certifications. There's a lot that we can do here, and it's really up to us to figure out what we want to do here. First thing, before we get going though, because we're at a good spot, this is a really good case of fixed. This is a really bad comment. I want to go ahead and push this back up just so it's working. And we're going to let it do its thing, and we'll double check to make sure that the world is seeing our portfolio in that way. All right, so let's see. What do we want to add here? I want to add we could have a conversation. What should I add to this homepage to make it even more professional? I want to stand out immediately and make the person keep reading. So I will tell you, a lot of the stuff I do when I am vibe coding, when I'm building stuff, it's a conversation, and you can say, hey, you're a social media manager. Hey, you're an expert recruiter, or whatever it is. What would you look at first? How do I modify this so I catch your attention, or whatever your endeavor is? You have those conversations and continue to tweak and tweak until it is that. The benefit of having LLMs and AI is that you have someone who is at least decent at all these different roles in the world, right? I'm not saying they're the best. I'm not saying they're killer, but they are at least decent, right? And that's saying a lot, right? Now everyone basically has the power to be decent at most jobs. You're not going to be groundbreaking. There's not going to be AI as good as what I do yet, maybe in the future, but it's at least okay. It can kind of do what I do. It's not going to be the greatest, but with me behind it, driving it, I can make it better. But my point is that instead of paying for someone to review your resume, instead of paying an HR person to give you their time, instead of whatever, you have this tool that can be okay for you. You're going to end up in a lot better spot, a lot faster than you've ever been able to do. So use it. Definitely use it. That is my point here. Okay, so let's see what it says here. And this, again, this is a free one. With Codex, you get a lot more reasoning with it. So to actually kick this around, look at stuff, I could tell it to go explore some of the top portfolios with the most views, or the first like 10 pages or whatever. Tell me what's in common on those that are catching people's eye. So there's things you can do. You can have it compare things that you like and then bring a little bit of that inspiration back to your stuff. So definitely lots of cool stuff you can do. All right, it says that's too generic. Replace it with a value statement. Add 2 call to action buttons. So view projects, track my labs, example layout, something like that. Add a metric. So this kind of looks like one of the ones we looked at. Featured project section, we could do that. Cybersecurity focus areas, cool. Recent lab write-ups, cool. So lots of stuff. It's giving you a lot of interesting stuff here. So what we can say is, so it's saying add a terminal typing animation at the top, example effect, instantly signal cybersecurity theme without being cheesy. That's kind of funny. It seems kind of cheesy to me. Biggest mistake most cyber portfolios make, they look like, hi, I'm John, here are my projects. That's a lot of what we've seen. So it's trash talking, you guys. So don't have a portfolio like that. If your portfolio says, hi, I'm John, here are my projects, ChatGPT just called you out. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right, our action should have run. Let's look at the website, see if it works. All right, so this is it on the internet, right? We can see our URL. This is our local version. Look at where it's running from. So this is where we're testing our laboratory. And this is, hey, this is live. This is what everyone else is seeing. All right, so we can look at this and say, okay, cool. What do we want to add? And let's do it one at a time. So we can say, and this is kind of what I do. I will say, let's do these one at a time. Let's do these one at a time. Starting with number 1. Give me the code for this. All right, so it's going to give us all the stuff. And the bad thing is it's only giving us pieces of code. And I don't want to have to hunt this thing to find it. So I'm going to say, give me the complete code and the name of the file, so that I can just copy instead of searching for the section. So this is just me being a little bit faster, hopefully, building it. It doesn't mean that it won't drift and screw us later. That is very likely. As we already saw, it drifted and changed the name of style.css to styles. So this one may be more likely to hallucinate. There are definitely others that won't. You just have to have a little bit more control over it. All right, so we need to modify the index.dll. Cool. Then we need to also, I think that's it. Sweet. Okay, so let's save this. Let's see what our new portfolio looks like. Look at that. All right, so we're getting there. Look at this. We even have little icons here. Wow, okay. Not too shabby. We could improve the view projects and try Hack Me Labs section. The view projects and try Hack Me hyperlinks look lame. Give me buttons. So we'll do that. Let's see if it will give us something worth doing well. Let's see. Add the icons inside the buttons inside. So it's still not giving me what I asked for. It's being stupid. Let's see, projects, primary button, projects, labs. We're looking for it. Should be right under here. under the hero section. So right here. So it says button secondary, primary. So add icons inside the button. So we don't want to do that, I don't think. But we do want to modify the CSS probably. Give me the complete CSS. So usually I would use a skill to fix this issue that we keep running into where it keeps not giving us the information. That's fine. We'll move on. My feelings will be hurt. We're just waiting for this to finish. So our CSS is getting pretty lengthy. We're just waiting for it to end here. And hopefully now we'll just modify this. I don't really like a ton of, there we go. I don't really like a ton of emojis, so I didn't really want emojis here. So this isn't bad. We could do something like, we could change these, but these do look better, right? So now we have these two buttons. Cool. Let's see what number 2 was. Does anyone remember? Add this CSS. Nope. Let's do this one at a time. So here's where we were working on. So number 2 is the metrics section. All right, so let's add a metrics section now. So moving on. So you see what I mean? Like as we're going through this, we're adding a little bit by little bit. That way we're focusing on one small section at a time. It's getting better. If you don't like a font, if you don't like the buttons, we're going to focus on that until it's okay. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want to get to a spot where like it's a good enough spot before moving on, I would say. Like right now, I'd say we're pretty there. Like I would change my name, right? We'd do that. And that's fine. But other than that, I mean, it's not too shabby, right? It's a little bit better. I would say this is still better than the flat ones we were seeing. It's not better than Cam's yet, I'm gonna say, but it's still better than this, right? Like this isn't bad, but we could do better. We can help Harrison do better. And maybe we focus on Harrison's where we clone his repo and we make it look pretty for him. And maybe he can use it later. But this is kind of the benefit, right? It just looks cleaner. It looks professional. And the beauty of this is we're doing this without having to be professional coders. All we are being project managers at this point and saying, either I like this or I don't. And if I don't like it, what about it? What is there about it that I don't like? And how do I convey that to my LLM so that it can give me something to replace it with? You know what I mean? So like we're kind of shifting where, and this is the whole point of vibe coding, where we don't need to be experts. It helps to be a good or a decent developer, but you don't have to be, especially if you're doing something just as trivial as this. And think about how long this would have taken last year. How long would it have taken us to build this? Probably quite some time. Place this right under the heroes section. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's add our next section. And then we're going to add HTML. So this right under the hero section. So we need to go find our hero section because, of course, it doesn't want to tell us. It wants to make us find it. So this is the hero section. What is this called? I wish it would tell us what the name of the section is, but whatever. We'll add this to it so that we can find it later. The problem is when chat isn't in here, it may have difficulty. Well, one, it doesn't know what the heck you put in here because it's not tied in here. So it's only aware of what's in that. So us doing it like this, it may drift some, it may not. Yes, we will have a recording uploaded 93. It actually should be available immediately after the stream tonight. So feel free to follow up. If you're not in the community, join it and ask questions. I'll help you fix whatever issues. And I definitely, if you follow along and you build something, please share it in the community. I want to see what folks are out there building, and maybe you can inspire someone else with the stuff you're doing. So the more, the merrier. And if you have a good one, I'll demo it on here. I'll show it live and I'll show it off for you. How about that? Okay, so now we also need to anywhere near your card section. So we're going to add this to the CSS now. Good question though. So now here's the card section. Let's add it here. There we go. All right, so let's save it. Let's see if I broke anything. Here we go. Look at that. We now have metrics. So this doesn't look terrible, but I don't like the way it's spaced, and I wish they would stand out, like my metrics would stand out a little bit more in some way. You know what I mean? Like they kind of blend in with the cards below. So we need to figure out a way to kind of create sections here. But overall, I would say this is kind of cool, especially if you can automate this with an action where it will update your code every time it compiles by maybe pulling this information from your Git repo or from somewhere. Yeah, there's some cool stuff you can do to automate these numbers, perhaps. So something cool to think about. Yeah, this is kind of cool. This is pretty cool. You may be able to hit the API and pull down your TryHackMe rank if you can. If it's accessible without logging in, you could probably maybe pull that. This could just be account. So if you put all your certifications somewhere, you could just do account of it. For me, I'm an automation type like minded person. So I'm thinking of how do I keep this up to date without having to manually keep it up to date? You know what I mean? And that's just my mindset. Okay, so let's talk through with this thing what we want to do with it here. Let's see, we can also make the numbers animate when the page loads 85 plus. This makes it more, much more dynamic. Okay, let's see. Let's do that. Let's do that and see what that does with it. And if it gives us a little bit of flair that makes it stand out, cool. If not, we will, we'll see if we can't vibe code something else here. Let's see. Yeah, so I don't think you were in here earlier, 93, but I was showing off the one I vibe coded this week just a little bit. So I don't know if you saw it in the community, but this is what I added to mine, kind of like a banner, like a streaming banner with all my certifications, just because I wanted it up there. I'm a believer in putting like kind of the showstoppers up at the top of your resume, and so I wanted to do the same with my portfolio. So pretty cool. And you can do some fun stuff to animate it or whatever you want to. But yeah, I like the idea of the badges as well. I had to give it, create an asset folder and then manually pull down every one of these logos for this. Some of them were easier than others, but yeah, very cool approach. And it like stops, look at that. And you can, I want to add where you can click them and get more information about them. But yeah, the links in, I can drop it in chat too if anyone wants to look at it. So I'm not done with it, by the way. I was doing this in preparation for this because I'm a believer of doing. So I wanted to do it first and share. But super cool. You can pull the repo down if you want to steal it. I don't care, whatever. Open source, baby. All right, so let's see if we can fix our stuff here. All right, so back into here, we want to, so this is the metrics grid section. This is going to be an index HTML. So let's go back over here. Luckily, we organized it so we could see what was busted and what's not. Place it below your hero section above projects. So they changed it slightly on me. Yeah, I can certainly share that as well with you. Let's see. Let me go to my studio and pull one of those for you. Always forgets what it is, but I can pull it from a video. So I post them in all of my videos for folks. So if you watch any of the videos, they're going to be there. And I do that to make it easier to find, of course. There you go, 93. There's the Discord community for you. Okay, so we need to figure out what's different here. So class metric card, and this is, so just so you know, these classes, this is how the CSS is figuring out what to categorize using these classes here. This type of information, your header information, all this is helping inform, like, what type of style should I be using here? Let's see, metrics section. So we have that here. I wonder why it changed. So we got 35, 12, 4. It drifted on us a little bit. But I do want to change the style. So if you don't have add, then add this. So let's add this to our JavaScript. See if it changes anything. This is a lot of JavaScript in here. Let's see if this changes anything about our site. Nothing much. And then connect the script. We already have the script connected. We do want to modify the metrics section, so let's do that really quick. This was in style.cs. So we'll just copy this. We'll save it. Let's see if this changed anything for us. Oof, I did not like that. Look at that. That looks like junk. Oof, not good. All right, I like our other version better. So let's just make sure we corrected whatever we corrected. We did not. We need to. All right, this might be it. Let's give it a shot. There we go. All right, so I do like this better than what it was doing. I don't know what it was doing. So we can leave it there for now. Again, kind of the bad part about this free section is that it's losing context. It's hard to coax into it, but it's doing good enough, right? Especially if we don't want to pay for anything. This isn't a bad result. It just requires more time, more patience. I don't have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of patience, so I pay for stuff, but I also pay for it through my company. So tax write-off, hey, right? But I think most people out there do pay for it. It's what, $20 a month or something. Okay, so let's leave this alone for now. Let's see what else. Let's add. It wanted what this gives you. Let's see. I'm looking for this section where we had it recommend improvements. Here we go. Name of the file, blah, blah, blah. We already did that one. Give me a new CS complete file. Let's pass that. All right, here we go. So this is the section here. So we have projects here. We may want a featured project. Maybe that could be cool. 9.3 says they have Claude through their company. That's pretty awesome that they're paying for it. No, we literally started from scratch, nothing, and designed this. Vibe coded it tonight, so we did it the hard way. As OffSec says, try harder. But I did that with the intention of showing you don't have to have anything to start, but if you do find someone's portfolio, and by the way, 9.3, we're using GitHub Pages for this. If you find someone's you like, you can give it to your LLM and say, hey, I like this. Now I just want to make a few modifications and your life's going to be a lot easier. But If you want to do it as like a good lab, a good fun bit, you can do it like I did. Start from scratch. Tell it kind of what your vision is, and it will do pretty good. I had a really good base probably within 15 minutes with my paid version with Codex when I was using Codex. So varies. Okay, so let's add, I think the next big thing here is adding a set of cybersecurity focus skills. So let's do that. Let's add this now. Let's add a section on, there we go. So let's see, we'll build a clean, modern, 3 to 4 specialties, icons, hover animation, responsive layout, consistent with the cards. So now it's just saying add this below your metrics section. So we'll do that. And we'll go over to index.html. This is our metrics section. So the question is, where do we want it? Probably at the top. So we'll put it up here. Let's make sure we have a header. Okay, great. And we'll save this. Let's see what it looks like before we make it pretty. It doesn't look pretty yet. All right, so I always love the before and afters. Oh, it's super ugly. Let's fix that now. So let's do that. Now we're going to go over to your style.cs. So the key to like the comments, if you're not familiar with coding, comments are amazing because it helps you. If you like, imagine whenever you write code and do comments, imagine coming back to this 6 months or a year later. How quickly are you going to be able to understand what you wrote? That's comments. You don't want to be too verbose, but you don't want to be too little either, where you got to reread all your code to figure out what the heck you were doing. So figuring out just right will help you. I promise. And it is an art. It's not something you learn overnight. I promise that as well. But you will get better. Sweet. There you go. So something like the question is, what do we like about this? What don't we like? Right? I see this as like additional sections. Maybe we'll add a header here. I don't necessarily like this. I don't enjoy the fact that it's not symmetrical. I don't like the lack of symmetry here. But it's something we can look at and think about. And something cool I just thought about right now, like clicking this, you know how in Mind where you click it, you get more information. This could be a place, where we're in our resumes and we're like, well, how do, like we have our summary. How do I prove that I have that skill? Something we could do here is if you click defensive security, maybe it'll show all your evidence. You can be like certification, 10 years of experience in the SOC, blah, blah, blah. And your evidence is right here. That would be kind of a cool, fun thing. Let's make this look prettier, and then let's add that functionality actually. Let's see. How do I... I'm looking. This isn't very symmetrical. How do we make it look better on the page? Yeah, projects as well. 9.3 projects would be another one too. Hey, here's all the projects I've done that relate. And what you could do would be interesting is that you could use tagging in your projects if you have them on GitHub. Now my brain's going, right? And then you can use your code here to pull and put stuff in here automatically that are related. Again, the automation piece where you don't have to think about it. So whenever you do a lab, maybe a GitHub or a like a Try Hack Me lab or whatever, it'll automatically update your page because you have it automated to pull that information and associate it with it. You could definitely vibe code that here. So it says it wants us to replace all of our specialization. And this is kind of the fun stuff, right? This is why I tell you to look at other people's. Like, what do you like about it? What's cool about someone else's? Integrate that into yours. There's nothing wrong with getting inspired. I feel like every musician these days are inspired by someone. Look at that. All right, that's fixed now. That looks prettier. All right, now, how do we want to do this? We want to say for each one of these specializations, I want to be able to click and it show evidence of those skills, such as certifications, projects, on-the-job experience, etc. Let's see what it does. Replace your specialization section with all of this. Wow, this is a much bigger specialization section. And then we need to add salization. Okay, so let's do this. First of all, I'm gonna go ahead and commit this over here. I know, bad coding practice, really bad comment. We'll go ahead and push it. So again, we add the updates. This is good version control. Whenever we have a major breakthrough, let's save it. It's like playing a video game, right? You beat a boss that you've been trying to beat for like 2 hours. Save the game. Don't do it again. Don't have to go through that boss again, please. It is for your sanity and everyone else's sanity. Just save the game. Save the game here, folks. Okay. Now that it's saved, we have a good version up. We can roll back if we break something, which may be likely with this piece of crap free one. All good. Okay, so now let's see. I'm just looking what's at the top here. So it does have all this. So we want to replace this all the way to main navigation. There we go. We'll save this and then expandable, add this to the style CSS sheets. Okay, so we need, let's see what it looks like without changing anything. Boop. Okay, that's ugly. All right, so we need a stylization and add it over here. I think it said just add it. We'll save it. Let's see if it worked. Okay. Oh, it's not clicking. Okay, I think we need the JavaScript now. And we'll do that. And we still have some artifacts from something that didn't work. We'll clean it up. You could use AI to clean stuff up for you too. Why not? Look at that. So we're kind of there. I don't really like this. What I'd want a box to pop up. Let's see, can we have a box pop up with the info instead of just expanding the box? Okay, so not a bad idea, just not great yet. We can get there. Click, yep, that's what we want to see. Replace your specialization section now. So we got a new specialization section. Let's see what we got. This is the script. And I should have added notes for that JavaScript because it is going to be a pain to find it now. This is going to be a pain. It's okay. Learn from my mistakes, people. Learn from them. All right, so let's see. All right, we got that. Add this model section still in index. Place this right before the closing body tag. What? A closing body tag. There should be right here. This is what it's talking about. See that? That's the body tag. So HTML does like a system of tags, just in case you didn't know. And let's save that. I just like seeing like the incremental improvements. Still doesn't do anything. And then we need to add this as well. So we have a new section to our CSS. What I would do with mine is after getting this work, I would do what's called refactoring my code and clean up all this artifact stuff that's not being used. Maybe in some stuff that's just duplicative. I can't even say that word. Stuff that's repeated, whatever. Get rid of that, because like what happens, this is kind of in practice. I don't know if any of you have come across this, but you write code, right? Your initial code when it's working is like maybe 1,000 lines of code, right? And then you go through and like, all right, I want to make this a little bit easier to maintain, a little easier to manage. And I'm sure there's better ways I can do stuff. You refactor, right? And maybe you shrink it down to 300 or 400 lines. And then you add new features. It expands again. Then you get it to work. You refactor, it shrinks. That's kind of the ebb and flow. If you've never done a large project, that's kind of what happens. So don't be afraid if you build something, it's like, oh, this is crap. It's like this just Frankenstein thing. Take a moment, refactor, fix it, make it easier to maintain, then build onto it. Totally okay. Right now, we're just Frankensteining on top of Frankensteining. All good, baby. All good. All good. All good. All good. I just laugh at my stupidity sometimes. It's okay. You gotta enjoy life, folks. All right, so I wonder if. Okay, there it is. I'm like breaking my sections up a little bit. It's kind of interesting they put all this in the JavaScript section. I feel like there's a better way to do that, but that's okay. All right, didn't break anything. Look at that. Okay, a little bit better now. How do we feel about this, folks? A little bit cleaner. Obviously, we can clean up the formatting now, but this is kind of what I was envisioning. Slightly could do it a little bit better, but this is kind of cool, right? We now have projects. Spacing needs to be fixed here. The spacing is ugly, but we now have what we specialize in. We now have proof to show why we specialize in it. We'd probably use templates for these. Is probably an improvement I would make. I would do a specific template for these pop-ups and have standardized fields. But yeah, now we have some pop-ups. Look at this; it actually bounces. So we have a little bit of a dynamic website now. It's getting there. It's getting better, and it's going a long ways. For those of you who are just joining us now, our website was pretty awful. When we first, it was black with green, like classic hacker look, and it was trying really hard to be cool, and it just wasn't cool, sadly. And now we have something good colors, blue. They say if you're into like social engineering or whatever, or sales stuff, blues like trusts. These kind of colors convey things to other people. So color scheme is a whole thing. If you ever talk to an interior designer, they got a whole spiel about colors and how they make you feel. Something you can talk with your LLM about for sure. So lots of cool stuff here. We might have time for one more feature. Let me check Discord to see if anyone dropped something they wanted me to look at. I think someone was chatting earlier. Hello, if you're new, drop a comment in chat for us. Say hello. Looks like we got a handful of new people in the community. Welcome. We got a new challenge this week, responding to an interview question. This was inspired by someone I spoke to this week. So feel free to give it a shot, give it an answer. I'll announce the winner next Thursday, by the way. So no portfolios. Cool. Let's add one more feature. We got enough time, I think. We're slowly building our rapport with its poor AI who hates my guts right now. And I'm just trying to. So earlier I asked it like, all right, hey, we need to build these things out, and it gave me a list of stuff. So that's what I'm trying to find. What is left in the list of improvements you gave me earlier? Let's see what it has. So again, this would be much faster with a different one, but you can do it with a free. That's the key here. You can do stuff with free. It's okay. I wouldn't say it would be a series, so I just wanted to touch it here and do it. But I will continue to work on my portfolio 9.3, and so you can check there. But um, I think I have the link in chat for this one. But if there is, right, maybe we spin up a thread and you tell me, hey, what would you like me to add to make this look cooler? We can definitely do that and start adding stuff. But each week, what I'm trying to do 9.3 is touch on a different topic that are going to help people dramatically get better in some way. So in this case, this is all about branding, right? Not to sound like an influencer or whatever, but everyone has a brand. And I said it earlier, it's what people say about you when you're not in the room, right? That's your brand. And so we want to help people build that brand because it will help get a job. So we may come back to it later, but we have some other cool hands-on stuff that I want to do next week. So this is part of just a series. We did resume reviews, touched on a little bit of portfolios. We did more portfolios, and I don't remember what's on my content calendar for next week, to be announced. So yeah, but happy to, if there's enough people that say, hey, Mike, come back, do portfolios again. This is what I really, really, really want to learn and what I need help with. I am down to dedicate an episode or of a stream for you, 9.3, if there's something you want, something you want work on. What is it? E. Davila. Hello, your content helping me a lot with my journey, finishing up my Sec Plus. Sweet. Awesome. Congrats. Your first step into the world of cybersecurity. Hopefully, you're learning a lot. Feel free to ask questions in the community of other folks who have done it. So, my whole spiel is I want to help people get job ready, right? There's a big disconnect between the Sec Plus and saying, hey, I can sit in front of a computer and do the job. So, that's what I'm here for. Trying to get you in the seat where you're getting paid to have fun and do cybersecurity stuff. That's my view, anyways. I like to stoke that fire, that passion, the fun stuff. Let's see what else. What else can we add? Try Hack Me integration. That is really. I wonder if we could maybe. I should try that and try to build an API integration into Try Hack Me into mine. That would be fun to do because that would be kind of cool for you guys, and then it would be automated, so you don't ever have to touch it, and it'll maybe grab the rooms you've done or grab whatever your top percentage is, whatever that is. That could be a fun one. Could be a fun one. Let's see. We have blogs here. We do need a contact section. So let's add a contact section, and that should be the last big thing. Let's add a contact section at the bottom. So we'll add this. People need to know how to get a hold of us so they can say, hey, would you like a job? Isn't that right? So place at the very bottom, right above the closing body tag. We'll add this. And then we need to add some styling. So in case you didn't notice, and especially for those who haven't done a lot of HTML, notice that every time we have a new section, they're adding new styles or a new section in our style.css. And that's because, again, like we are creating a specific style for that section. That's why we could use the same stylization, but then it doesn't really make it pop. That's why you see that type of thing. Okay, so we need to come into here. We need to go to index.html, and we need to add it right above the body tag. So we'll add some space. We add this here, and then we'll hit this. We'll see what it looks like because I like the before and after. Look at that, ugly as can be. That's okay. And then we'll add this to our CSS. We'll put it above footer because I'm trying to put it in order of the page. And Okay, good. It has contact section. Perfect. So let's save all this and we'll reload. Look at that. Look at that. Oh man, this thing's looking good. How about that, folks? This is actually better than I was expecting this to come out. This bottom piece, I wasn't sure. You never know. But this turned out pretty darn good. So let's go ahead and push this up to GitHub. Folks, add some more. If you have any questions, anything you want to talk about, we got a few minutes before we hop off tonight. But I want to, I appreciate everyone hopping on. I love seeing comments like E. Davila saying, hey, thanks, you're helping me a lot. 9-3 saying I inspired them to do their own. I love seeing that stuff. That motivates me. That means the content I'm putting out is actually beneficial, right? I just don't want to be spitting into the void and no one cares. My goal is to give you something useful. I have a lot of experience, over 10 years of experience in some of the biggest companies in the US and in world in some cases. So use it. Ask me questions. I've worked at one of the top 10 banks in the US. I've worked in one of the biggest SOCs and some of the biggest consulting firms. So ask me questions. Help me help you get better. Get in that job that you want to be in. That is what I'm here for. So let's go ahead and update, and then we'll do a commit, and then we'll check one more time. Yeah, so this is GitHub Pages. This is someone from our community put me onto this, Cam. So I actually did a post on LinkedIn that said, one of my favorite things about having a community is that we get to learn from each other. This is not something I was vibing on. Like I didn't know we could do this in GitHub. And he showed his, hey, I'm working on this thing to show off. Like, I love it. I want to show other people how to do this because it's cool. So yeah, I mean, super cool. So if anyone else comes up with cool ideas that can help people or just another option, right? Definitely let me know. And I will spread the word because I love cool stuff. I like seeing cool stuff, and I'm using it too, right? So we got to push the origin. Oops, and we'll push that one. But yeah, it's super surprising. There's a lot of cool functionalities out there these days, and I was telling people too that with this you can actually have a custom website. So if you have your own domain, you can utilize that instead of GitHub's. But doing it this way, it's like having your own domain. And you don't have to deal with any of the BS of spinning up a WordPress website or whatever. I don't think anyone has a good time building WordPress websites. I feel like that's horrible. And I've actually been putting that off. Like I was like, I need a website so I can share resources and stuff with people. I just really don't want to build a WordPress website. So I think this is better. I think this is a lot more customizable. So I will be adding to it. And for mine, my goal with mine is to add some stuff on here, but also to provide resources to people, not just to show my stuff off. Like I really don't care about that. What I do want to do is show things that can help other people. So like, hey, this is what I'm recommending. And by the way, I'm going to fill this in. So this is where I got the clicky idea from because I did it earlier today. But show people how do you do this? What types of things can you read that are going to be great? So I'm building this out for you guys so that the things that I come across that are actually useful instead of some bull crap that a lot of folks are putting out there, stuff that's not actually beneficial. I try to help people. Thanks for joining, 9-3. Let's see. 9-3 says, I'm wondering about that. What would be the most affordable way to add your own domain that you would recommend? So you just buy one from somewhere. I would say probably the cheapest place, I'm trying to remember, Squarespace, because they build in the service where it keeps like your name, address, and all that private. To me, I am a privacy advocate, even though I'm on here, but that's a good way to do it. It's built in, so you don't have to buy an additional service. So that's a good way to add a custom domain, actually. The bad thing is that you have to find one that's not used. and then 2, you have to pay for it every year. So if you don't renew it, it will go away. But definitely something cool. If you want kind of a little bit of flair, feel free to grab your own domain. Trying to think, I mean, you can really buy domains from anyone. GoDaddy, Google used to do it, but Squarespace now has all the Google domain stuff. Any place that does website hosting also has it. So it just depends. You can get them anywhere. I just came across Google the other day when I was looking to register a new domain. I was like, oh, it has all this built in. I'll take it. And the pricing was pretty similar to the other ones. I just didn't have to buy something extra to do it. So that's cool. But yeah, so that is it for today's. If you're watching this later and you have questions, drop them in the community. If you're watching this later and you're not a part of the community, join the community, ask questions. My goal is to continue building in that community, building stuff that's regular content, regular challenges, things that help you get better at whatever it is, create more interactiveness in there because we want to see people be successful. That is inspirational to me, watching someone get a win and get excited about their journey in life. That is very motivational to me. I love seeing that kind of stuff. So with that, we'll close it out. Have a good one. Thank you for joining, everyone, and we will see you next Thursday here on the InfoSec Wizard Weekly Thursday stream. Have a good night, everyone.